Hey guys, welcome back to the page. Thank you so much for being here today. If you are new, my name is Sarah. I'm a Christian life coach and content creator. If you're not new, then welcome back. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your patience with my absence on YouTube. Taking my time, doing things slowly. So today I'm going to give a couple of personal updates for the purpose of bringing revelation and inspiration as always. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to start with is, so you can see by the title, but just to give an overview, I wanted to share with you guys something new and exciting that I've been working on. A part of a new lifestyle that I've been adapting, which is going lower tech, buying a wheelchair, trusting God for our house. Okay, so the first thing I want to share, and this is just like only a very small part of the new lifestyle that I've been adapting, but something that has been helping me so much to be much more present and much more intentional, is going lower tech. I don't want to say low tech because that's not true. And that just basically means that less electronic use, for me, specifically cell phone use. And originally, I was inspired to do this through many ways, but there was one particular way. There was a podcast episode I listened to where this woman was sharing how she was super low tech and doesn't even have a cell phone and different things like this. Now, as some of you know, I did buy a flip phone a while ago, and this flip phone just has my emergency contacts on it, so then that way I can just leave my cell phone and I can have my little flip phone. I'm sure it could work if you got a pager as well or something like that, or if you wanted to get rid of your cell phone. For me, I'm not there, but I just feel like this is so refreshing. I know it's nothing new, but actually doing it for myself has been so helpful. So I just wanted to share some practical ways that I have done this. Basically, I will allow times for myself, a certain amount of times, to go on my cell phone a day. And it's generally 3 times a day. It'll be, let's say, one time after my son's first nap where I get a bit of work done, a second time after his second nap where I get some work done, and a third time in the evening where I answer some personal messages or get some personal tasks done. And that doesn't mean that I go on my phone for 2 hours and then 5 hours and then 3 hours or something crazy like that. It is still a very short period of time. And then I will leave my cell phone usually upstairs in my house, because I don't know about you, but for me personally, if my cell phone is beside me, I just can't focus. I will keep going to pick it up because I'll remember something that I needed to do. So I've been carrying a little notepad around with me. And actually, this is one of the little pieces of paper from the notepad that I took out, but just a basic notepad so that when I think of an idea, I'll just quickly write it down, and I won't feel like I need to quickly go to my to-do list on my phone or think I need to text that person because I have it written down, so I'm gonna remember. Honestly, just doing this in itself has been so helpful. I do not want to parent my son with one hand on my cell phone the entire time. I don't want him to see that, and now that I'm doing that, I'm so much more aware of when other people, even in my family, are using their cell phones with my son, because I actually see them miss out on things. I see him do something that he's proud of and look up with light in his eyes to see someone looking down at their cell phone. And you wouldn't know that he wants your attention because he's not saying anything. It's just a lot of nonverbal cues. And I'm so much more sensitive to it, where then I'll look at whoever it is on their phone and I'm like, he's trying to get your attention. He's showing you something. He wants you to say good job. Anyway, so obviously this would have very easily been me and probably has been me at points, but I just don't want to miss those little moments where my son needs me or he wants to show me something. And also, it doesn't even just have to do with children, it's spouses, it's all of our relationships as well. I actually want to share a really quick story. So just to kind of show the impact of this, I remember the first time I got a cell phone. It was a flip phone just to have my parents' number on it. I was 12 years old, but I think maybe 6 months before that, maybe a year before that, one of my friends at school got a cell phone first. And she came over to my house. We were going to watch a movie as we normally would. And the whole time we watched the movie, she was laying on the couch beside me on her phone. This was the first time I had that feeling. And because this was new, having a cell phone, I didn't even know how to express why that bothered me so much. She was on her phone the whole time we were watching this movie. I mean, I was like 12 years old. I didn't understand why it bothered me so much, but obviously it was like, I may as well have just been watching the movie by myself, because you want to be sharing in connection with that person. You want to be chatting about the movie that you're watching and relating, and it just felt so cold and so isolating. And so can you just imagine how children would feel automatically and be confused to see you constantly looking down at something and they don't understand. So anyways, that's just one thing that has been so helpful and allowed me to be so present. And then on top of that is getting off social media as well, taking an Instagram break, taking a YouTube break. I'm kind of taking a Facebook break, sort of. I still kind of have to use it for things. So I see a little bit of things pop up on Facebook, but I'm not allowed on Marketplace right now, because otherwise I'll just be scrolling on Marketplace all the time. But to be honest, I do not miss it at all. I didn't even think about YouTube, which is so ironic being on here, but I genuinely forgot about YouTube because I just didn't see the app anymore. And of course you can take it to a different level where you can delete your apps and you can just go on your laptop when you need to go on Instagram or YouTube, even checking your emails. I know for myself, I would check my emails probably 20 times a day at those allotted slots that we were talking about. So with that being said, that takes me into the new project that I have been working on, which I'm very, very excited about. If you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen my story already. I'm also gonna put it as a community post, which probably will be out before this video comes out realistically. But since I have been going through burnout and chronic fatigue for the past 3 years, I have been learning and absorbing so much from the Lord of what He's wanted to teach me. And I have just been collecting so many points and so much information on how to prevent burnout, on recovery, on sustaining recovery. Of course, in my situation, mine hasn't been like a regular burnout. It's been a burnout that has caused autoimmune related things, which some people go through. And so of course that takes a lot more work to get out of. But then there are other types of burnouts where you haven't gotten to that point yet, if you can catch it early enough. So anyways, what I have been doing for the past, I guess around 3 years, is I've just been brain dumping. So every single time I learn something, and that's also just in my nature as well, I really love to learn, not necessarily about anything, but about emotional, mental, spiritual health, physical health, things like that. So every time I hear a piece of information or the Lord shows me something, I've just been brain dumping in this note on my phone. And I felt that after my most recent NowBloom Academy semester has come to an end, I felt like the Lord was giving me the go-ahead to start writing these scripts. So basically, I'm putting a course together, which is called Slow by Design. And this is a course on burnout recovery, burnout prevention. But it's not just if you are on the verge of burnout, it's generally if you want to live a more paced life or a more intentional life, a life of more presence, a life of more quality maybe over quantity. There's so many lessons in this, interwoven with a lot of inner healing moments and a lot of practical tools and steps. Anyway, so it's called Slow by Design. I am very slowly working on it. I'm really taking my own advice on working on it, and I'm doing everything by dictation on my phone so that I'm not staring at a screen and constantly typing. I'm like voice noting everything, and I'm just really taking my time. So this course, I believe, is going to come out the end of 2025 or later 2025, and then latest early 2026. So I'm gonna put a link somewhere up here where if you're interested to find out when it launches, you can put your name and you can put your email, and then you'll be notified when it launches. I'm not gonna spam you on anything. I don't even do that. I don't even have newsletters that go out. I should have newsletters that go out, but I've got to put my energy into only a couple things right now. And also, if you put your name on that list, then there will be a special discount for those people that are on that list just for showing interest early. But yeah, I am really excited about it. I have been having so much fun. I have to really have a lot of self-control with not working on it too much because I have to really stick to the new lifestyle that I've been adapting and making sure that, for example, I choose to rest and cuddle with my son for when he has a 30-minute nap for that time, as opposed to, okay, I'm just gonna put him down quickly and I'm going to get this done, which of course I do get things done when he's sleeping on other naps, but anyways, that's a different story. So I wanted to share that because I'm just really excited about it. And it's so redemptive because 3 years ago was when I was finishing writing NowBloom Academy, which is the Christian Life Coach certification course, which I poured so much into, and I had so much fun putting it together. I still run it, so if you're interested in becoming a Christian life coach, the course is still running. We have self-paced, and then there's a live cohort starting in September of 2025. But after I wrote that course, not because of that course, I mean, of course I was working very hard, but there were so many other things that I was doing that contributed to my burnout, most importantly personal things. And honestly, I had no inspiration left. I burnt myself to nothing. There was no creativity left in me. There was nothing that I could draw at. And I felt like maybe I will never even write a course again. And now, 3 years later, I think I have 6 course ideas, which is so cool and so exciting. And I think 2 years ago, I kept telling Adam, I said, I love to write courses, but I have nothing. Like, God has not downloaded anything to me. And I said, if he hasn't downloaded anything to me, that means there is no course that right now he wants me to write. And that's okay, and I'm gonna wait because I'm not gonna try to force inspiration because it's not gonna happen. I think about 6 months to a year later, he gave me my first course idea, which is super exciting. And I started working on that, but I put that one on hold for now because I felt like he was telling me to work on slow by design firstly. Okay, so here's the next update. Now, it's gonna sound like it's not a positive update. I'm not sharing it because I feel that I need to put this information out there. I'm just sharing it to give different perspective and again, hopefully some inspiration. So I had a relapse in my recovery about 3 months ago. I started just doing things that were not helpful to my recovery that I didn't realize. It's a combination of sleep, and I was drinking this drink that had some caffeine in it, and I was just starting to go too fast again, to be honest, and I felt like the Lord still had more to teach me. And then I discovered this doctor who I've been working with in the States who has been helping with the adrenal fatigue, and this has been extremely helpful. But anyways, because of this relapse, I worked my way up to be able to walk, let's say, I don't know, like a 15-minute walk to a 20-minute walk, but I would have to like pace myself and like sit down in between and like walk kind of slow. But I worked my way up where last summer, I remember last July, I started being able to walk to Whole Foods. I used to be able to walk to my husband's work. I walked around the mall with my son in his stroller. I even went to London with my husband and I walked around. It wasn't easy, but I did it. And then I think a combination of going on our road trip and just so many stressors, I went backwards in my recovery. So instead of what I was doing before, which was just avoiding getting out of the house or avoiding walking far, I was like, I want to enjoy things. Like, I still want to go on walks and I still want to go to the mall. So I was like, I'm just going to get a wheelchair. Like, then I'll be able to still do things. I remember I looked online and so many of the wheelchairs were like $300 on Facebook Marketplace. Not new ones, just like $300. And I was like, okay, that's kind of expensive. So I saw this one that was $50 and it was a travel one, which is what I wanted, just like a fold up one. And then it was kind of far. It was like on the other side of Toronto. It was kind of far. So I didn't go with that one, but I just waited patiently. And then later that day, I just felt like, okay, I'm gonna check Facebook Marketplace. This was when I was allowed on Facebook Marketplace. So I go on it and it literally says posted now, like a brand new travel wheelchair, $25, 5 minutes from my house. I honestly really felt like this was from the Lord for me. And since then, this was like a couple of months ago, I call it, I'm going on a roll. So my husband will push me in the wheelchair and our son Gabriel will sit on my lap and we will go to the park, go around wherever, put it in the car, go to the mall, you know, all sorts of things like that. This is not the first time that I have been using one. I've used one when I would go to the airport. I would get assistance. I would use it if I was in the hospital, you know, because they're there. But I remember I went to this big mall where during that relapse time, and I said, they don't even have wheelchairs here. Like, they don't have anything for somebody who can't walk this far. So anyways, I got that, and I guess the reason I'm sharing that is because I shared this with my spiritual director, and I kind of had this anticipation that she would like kind of feel bad for me or feel like sad or something, but she was so filled with the Spirit and so joyful, and she was like, praise the Lord, this is such a gift from the Lord, this is God's grace. I loved how she said that because it was so encouraging. And when my husband would push me around, he would tell me like, you know, you are so brave and you're so courageous, you have such a good attitude for being in the situation that you're in. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that, of course, I believe that the Lord is going to heal me. Even if the Lord didn't heal me, I still love him and he's still good. And that's totally fine. I'm still satisfied in Christ. But I do believe that he will heal me. And I do believe that he's using this. And if he continues to use it for however long, I know that he is using it to help other people and to help me and to help my family. There's been so many incredible, honestly, benefits of going through this. It has slowed me down, but it has been so bonding with my family. And even a couple months ago, I was wearing a black coat and Gabriel was on my lap, Adam was pushing me, and it started snowing. And then I looked down and I saw this snowflake, and it was, you know, when you watch the movie The Grinch and you see the snowflakes, it looked like a cartoon because it was so perfect. And so it was just carved out, like so tiny, but you know, just how like a fake snowflake would look. And I said, oh my gosh, look at this snowflake. And my husband was like, you would not have even seen that snowflake if you were not in the situation, because of the way that I was sitting, and the only thing I could look down at was my lap, you know, as opposed to walking is kind of like when you slow down to smell the flowers kind of thing. So I guess the reason I'm sharing this is because it doesn't bother me of me being pushed in a wheelchair. It doesn't bother me that right now I am crawling up the stairs. It's just easier for me to very slowly crawl up the stairs. Again, 4 months ago, I was walking up the stairs holding my son at a decent pace. So does it sting that I went backwards in a way? It does sting, yes. It's hard to be like, wow, I was doing more last year. That's hard. However, what I'm trying to get to is that maybe from an outside perspective, I don't know this, but maybe from an outside perspective, someone in my family or my friends might feel bad for me if they see me crawling slowly up the stairs. And my son, who is 16 months old, is going way faster than me and leaving me behind. Or maybe when I'm walking outside and I'm in the wheelchair, my husband's pushing me, Gabriel's on my lap. I do see how people look at us sometimes, and I feel like sometimes they feel bad for me. And those things, I would say to a degree, bother me only because I know what God is doing, if that makes sense. When you know the season that you're in, when you trust God and you know what he is doing, even if you're in a situation that to other people from an outside looks sad, or it looks like failure, or it looks like you have declined, or it looks like you're not where you should be, and maybe that's being a certain age and not being married or not being able to have children. Oh my gosh, sorry. I think my son just came to the window and opened up I closed some curtains, and then anyways, okay. Or not having a job. I would say even especially as a male, because I feel like males are like always wanting to be the ones to provide and things like that. And maybe people seeing your situation and thinking, oh, you've not had a job for so long, or oh, you're still living at your parents' house, or oh, you're still struggling with depression. Oh, you still haven't had children yet. I see that you haven't gotten pregnant yet. You're still single. Oh, you haven't gotten your healing. There are so many things that from an outside perspective, people can look at us, and whether they're thinking this or not, whether they're judging us or not, they may not even be thinking that, but it's easy to feel like, okay, they're seeing my situation, or the world would see my situation and think of it as sad or lesser than. God's definition of success is so different than our definition of it. The scripture that I can think of, I'll put it below afterwards, but the one that is, man looks at the outward appearance, but God looks at the heart. And in this situation, it can be, maybe man looks at the financial status, the career status, marital status, child status, all these different health status. but God is looking at something different, and God has a different agenda in mind. And it doesn't mean that you're never going to get the things that you pray for and that you want, but it's more important to know that you have your relationship with God, you have your intimacy with Him, and you know what He is doing. And it doesn't matter how it looks to anybody else, not even your closest family members. So that's my update there. Now, my husband and I have this joke where if I'm like, climbing up the stairs or I'm going really slow or whatever, and like someone looks at me, and especially young people, like will pass them, and then I'll say to my husband, like, don't feel bad for me. Don't feel bad for me. I'll still smoke you in the waist. Like pretend like a runner runs past me and I'm like, I'll still beat you, and like, I don't know, just stuff like that. But genuinely, I'm like, don't feel bad for me. Like, God is building a testimony in my life right now. Is it hard? Yeah, it's hard, but the last thing that I need is pity, or, really the only thing that I need is faith, to be honest. I loved my spiritual director's reaction when I told her about this. But of course, I understand, like, I'm not mad at anyone for saying, like, I'm sorry you're going through what you're going through. Of course, like, I totally understand. That's really the only appropriate answer, to be honest. If someone told me that they're going through what I'm going through, I wouldn't be like, praise the Lord. So, really the only normal reaction that you would feel is appropriate is to be like, I'm so sorry you're going through that, of course, but having a good time with the Lord. Okay, so now I'm going to give the last update, which is trusting God for our house, which I did a video on this in, I think, my last video, and I'll share an update on that. So the update is that we still don't have our house, but we feel very peaceful about it. We are, without going into too much detail right now, because I feel like I'll go into detail once we have our home, but we feel so close to having our home. We just feel it in the spirit. That's the best way that I can describe it. And then Adam and I were going on a roll the other day, and out of nowhere he just brought up our neighborhood and talking about like, oh, I wonder when we're gonna have our home. And then all of a sudden, I wasn't even like looking down at the ground before. I like looked down and I saw spray painted in huge letters underneath. Oh, my son Gabriel is like peeping through the curtains. He's gonna find me in here and start screaming in like 1 second. I look down and I see in huge red writing spray painted underneath my wheelchair as I'm driving through, soon. And then I said to Adam, oh my gosh, did you just see that? And he was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. Like, we just saw it at the same time. Like, we were already over top of it. Anyways, that's not like the only sign that we've gotten, but now I know God's soon is different than our soon. But I guess the testimony that I want to share here is that, so we have been just in faith going to the neighborhood, we don't know 100% which one it is, but we have an idea. We've been going to the neighborhood and just going on rolls around there and going to cafes, chatting with people, etc. Kind of just like going in faith and wanting to check out the neighborhood. And this guy walks up. He's not someone that I initially would have thought to start speaking to be honest. But Adam is really good at just like chatting with people, even someone that you wouldn't even think to strike up a conversation with. So he starts chatting with this guy, and he's really interesting. And then he actually had like a really, really positive attitude and positive outlook on life. Anyways, so we just tell him, yeah, we're looking to, move in the area and we're looking at homes. So yeah. And just out of nowhere, he goes, the worst thing you can do is to buy a home that you think is just good enough. That is one of the worst things that you could ever do. And like, that was it. He just said that. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is definitely God speaking, because that's how my husband and I have been feeling, where we have been seeing homes that are in our price range, that have the amount of rooms that we need, even that are in the neighborhood that we want and are specifically a good price, but we don't feel like it's our home. And we feel like, or not even that, maybe it doesn't meet all those requirements, but we feel like, well, it's good enough. It's either in the neighborhood that we like, or it's the price that works for us, or we could just redo the kitchen and the washrooms. And we're not being ungrateful. We just feel as if we are settling for something that is not God's best. And just the fact that he said that was totally the Spirit speaking through him. And I could just, again, like, it sounds like, okay, it's just words, but when you see something or someone says something and you feel the Holy Spirit being like, bang, like that was from me. And so we basically have just been trusting in the Lord. Now I'm going to share my guesses on here just because, so I think because we have this app that we're going on, that we are looking for our home, I feel, could be wrong though, that we're not going to find our house online. I feel we're gonna find it through a connection of someone like calling us or meeting somebody. That's what I think. I still think it's going to be in this general neighborhood. I think it's gonna be near this specific park, and I think that the house, we're gonna get a great price on it. I could be wrong about some of those, but we'll see. And I think it is gonna be soon. I think it's just gonna be supernatural and God's just gonna get the glory. So the thing is that the more that you get in these situations where you have to trust God, the more that you trust God, the more that He comes through for you time and time and time and time again, even when it looks hard. So Adam and I are in a situation where on paper, it doesn't really look good for us to buy a home, the home that we're looking for. But God, and I know that God, that is how God is going to be glorified through this situation. Last thing that I'm going to share. So this was about 4.5 years ago, and I actually shared a whole testimony on this. This is an old video, so I don't even know if I want to link it. It's fine. It's just I haven't watched it in a long time, but I can put it somewhere up here. It's a video about how God got us our apartment. But Adam and I we were in Niagara at the time. We were in Niagara on the lake, for those people who are in Ontario. We took like our mini moon there after our wedding because it was during the pandemic. And oh, Gabriel's back. Hi. Okay, he's like this. Oh my gosh, it's so hard not to watch him. He's like swirling around in the curtains looking at me, like wondering, why are you not talking to me? Okay, now I'm gonna wrap it up because I have to go and be present with my son. Anyways, this was on like a Tuesday or a Thursday, I think. Actually, I think it was a Thursday. We were going to be moving to Vancouver on the following Tuesday, so Thursday to Tuesday, and we did not have a place to live yet, but we were just trusting God. I had been looking for months, like 2 months, at apartments, and I found an apartment that was like, well, it's good enough. It's good enough. Did I love it? No, but it's good enough. And so Adam just talked me out of it, and he's like, no, like I trust God, He has something better for us. So we were talking to Adam's aunt and uncle. They were like, we're gonna agree in prayer for you for an apartment. They prayed. The next day, a lady from their church who is a property manager of the building that we lived in was like, hey, there's a unit available. This property, this unit, as you guys know, I've said a million times, I loved the building we lived in. I loved the area we lived in. I posted it on my Instagram before, but actually I don't need to repeat the area, it doesn't matter. But anyways, it was a beautiful area. And this apartment we would have never found online because they were snapped up so quickly because it was always a personal connection. This landlord would say like, okay, I have a wait list of somebody that I know personally who wants this first. It would never even end up going online because they would always find somebody first through a connection of someone who lived in one of the buildings or across from it. And this ended up being the best apartment literally ever for us, and we moved in that following Tuesday. So we had like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 6 days, and we moved straight into the apartment. So even though, once again, I share so many stories, the midwife appointment, even this happened with our wedding venue, there are so many stories where we tried to settle for something that was not God's best. So I hope that inspires you. That's all I'm going to say for today. So thank you for watching, and I always say at the end of these videos that if you're interested in becoming a Christian life coach, I run NowBloom Academy, so I'll put the link here. And also we have 2 coaches with NowBloom, Mina and Misha, which you can receive one-on-one coaching from them. You can also take Misha's inner healing program. Again, if you're watching these videos in the future, just check out the links below because my course, Though by Design, might already be out. Mina might already have a new course out. There's so many things. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. And comment below if there's anything that stood out to you specifically. I see Gabriel poking his head through the curtains again, so I'm gonna go and see him. And yeah, I would love to hear from you below. Share anything that stood out to you. And I apologize I don't get back to everyone's comments, but I actually read everyone's comments. I'm just, again, trying to be more low tech, so I can only be on my phone a certain amount of time. But I do see them, and I appreciate them, and others appreciate them as well. And I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.